We just talked about how from slavery, this same shit is going on.
Mm-hmm.
So let's put the two together. What y'all think about suffrage between Jesus versus slaves? Who y'all think suffered the most?
Okay, so let me say this about that. Let's not get it confused
And that was a good one you sent there.
about sacrifice.
Yeah.
Let's not get this confused with sacrifice.
Yeah, because sacrifice ain't the issue.
Yeah, we talking about
Suffering is
suffering.
that's right.
And so we don't want to get that confused.
Correct.
So for me, you know, and this is no disrespect to the Bible, Jesus Christ, and all that.
Yeah.
But I'm putting things in perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus did go through things, ridicule, all that.
Yeah.
He was never property.
Yeah.
And to cut it short, because I'm not gonna take too much time on it. He was, you know, with that for 2 days, you know, on the cross and the nails and everything like that, and that was sad, spit on, beat the whip before he, you know, was hung. But when it come to slaves, they were property. They watched their women get raped. Children get taken from them. Wives get taken from them. Beaten. Sometimes not eaten. Get out there, foot cut off, skin, and still hung on a cross, nail, and then burnt.
Or hung from a tree.
Or hung from a tree. So when you look at it that way, I would have to say slaves, for my opinion.
Yeah. What you think, Jay?
So it's a different perspective. It's kind of on the same lines of what you said. So we're talking about two different things. It's hard for me to, when I try to think about this topic, to come up with a conclusion. Because yes, Jesus went through a lot for the sins of humanity, right?
Exactly.
But he immortal also. So we talking about somebody on a higher power than regular people. Now, the suffrage that I see from people, it lasted so long
That's
for
what I was
slavery.
gonna say.
You know what I mean? Like we did the same thing you said, the beatings, the taking of women, and you think about people having babies and then they taking the babies and you don't see your brother,
Yeah.
your sister, your whoever, everybody gone. So it's a hard pill to swallow when you try to compare the two. Now Jesus, he had to deal with a lot of things on humanity that we don't even have a grasp on what that felt like.
Yeah.
So when you start saying who suffered more, I'm kind of on the fence with it because of.
So you think it's even?
I ain't gonna say it's even. I think it's so different to where I can't come to a conclusion on who actually suffered more.
So you think it's even?
We can say that.
Okay.
We can say.
What you think,
I
Cliff?
can't say one
I mean,
being more than the other.
That's a tough one, but I would have to lean toward slavery. And because, to piggyback G's point, I'm thinking about the duration of slavery. We're talking about 250 years, well, from 1619 when the first transatlantic slaves were brought over to the abolishment of slavery. So that period of time, I mean, the things that slaves went through was unimaginable, right?
Yeah.
Yes, Jesus went through a lot too, but it was a reason for Jesus to go through what he went through.
Yeah.
You know, it was an ultimate goal that was realized, and that was for our sins, right?
Exactly.
What those slaves went through, it was no reason for that.
That was,
Other than white
that
people
was
getting
man-made.
rich.
It was man-made.
You know what I'm saying? So
Well, his was man-made, 'cause them was men doing it to Jesus.
But I'm just saying, like, Jesus,
I know what you're talking
it
about.
meant something.
Yeah.
It was a sacrifice.
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah.
But for slaves, I mean, what for?
Yeah.
Other than for, you know, white men to get rich or whatever,
Exactly.
and treat us like shit or
Yeah.
whatever. So I would have to lean towards slaves, but it was a good topic, very good topic.
Yeah.
But you know, you want to be careful with that because you don't want people to get misconstrue what we trying to say.
We're not down talking or downplaying
we're not
what Jesus went through.
Absolutely not.
Downplaying what Jesus went through.
Yeah.
But he got back up.
Yeah.
Immortal.
And
Niggas never got back up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest because it's slaves without a question.
Yeah.
Because just think about this. Jesus came here with a purpose,
Yeah. that's what I'm
right?
trying-
So he knew the end point and how it was gonna all go in the whole nine.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Niggas ain't have a clue.
Right.
As far as they, we was gonna still be getting our ass beaten, our women's raped right now today. Who knew when it was gonna end?
Right.
Yeah.
And you talking about the lynching of people, whipping their ass, raping they. Just think about this. You married, we all married or whatever, right? Think about somebody, the mentality, the mental abuse of somebody coming, raping your wife right in front of you.
Your wife.
And you can't do shit about it. You like nowadays, and we talked about this, like not so much rape, but when we was talking about the woman disrespecting you in your home,
Right.
and you was saying like you'll come in there blasting or whatever, right?
Right.
And just think back then, you don't have that option.
Yeah.
That's mental abuse. To say that you're gonna do it, and then your woman standing right there, y'all both working in the field, and the nigga come up there and say, boy, you need to get over there in front of your wife and you gotta
Yeah.
take your ass up. This is mental abuse too.
Exactly. Mental abuse.
And
whole lot.
niggas don't know when it's gonna end. Jesus know, okay, y'all keep on going.
Now-
It's some
Yeah.
changes finna come. I know what's coming because I know who my father is.
Exactly.
And that's not downplaying Jesus' purpose because that's a lot he had to deal with. Because he physically had to deal with these kind of things and some mental shit too.
Right.
But he knows the end game.
Exactly.
Niggas had no idea what the end game.
Yeah.
As far as they knew, their ancestors, that's us, would still be having to go through that
Right.
same
Right.
shit right
Exactly.
there. So again, the duration is involved in that too.
Right.
So, you know, I know a lot of people, when we talk about this subject and they look at it, it's hard for them to just say
Right.
that somebody beat out Jesus in suffering, right?
Right.
Because they don't want to. They want.
Yeah.
They feel like they betrayed Jesus some
Religious
kind of way.
thing that
Right.
Yeah.
is further than what we
Yeah,
think. You
they
know, when
feel
you
like
start
they
talking
betraying
religion.
Jesus by saying it,
Yeah.
and that's not the point.
not the point.
Jesus was here to make a sacrifice
Exactly.
for us.
Right.
Niggas was just suffering.
Yeah.
You got your wife having a baby by a whole slave master.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. You gotta
Yeah.
witness this.
Yeah, wasn't no three wise men
Nah.
bringing no
No.
gifts to
Black
niggas.
man
Yeah.
sacrificed
Yeah.
to the white man.
Yeah.
And so it was a mental and physical, right? Because at any given time, they could just beat your ass.
And just think
Or
about what
work
happened
you
to
to death and
Yeah.
then throw you in the ditch.
It's like what happened to James Byrd. That happened to niggas, the slaves
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
James Byrd, that
They
was
used to
like,
do it with
Every time
horses
I
back
pass
then.
through that goddamn city,
Yeah.
get mad.
Now,
What's
now,
that was Vita?
Vita, Texas.
Yeah, now to your point, Chris, you're right, because Jesus knew.
Yeah.
You have slaves that knew they was about to die and probably prayed for all the black race, saying, "Hey, y'all in for it." Because they didn't
Yeah,
know.
correct.
All they knew is this world.
Yeah.
And this is what's gonna be
Yeah.
until the end of time. They don't even know how far we've come. So they had to endure that physical and that mental abuse all the way up until that man killed them, hung them, or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's a bad place to be in.
Slavery was horrible. Y'all know where Wall Street came from, right? Wall Street was about slavery. It wasn't about no stocks. Wall Street was where they used to take slaves to sell them.
You know, I think I have vaguely seen that in a.
Yeah.
I look at documentaries all the
Yeah.
time, and I want to say I seen something like that in one of them.
Wall Street
Yeah.
was where they sold slaves.
Yeah.
That's where that started.
Yeah.
And eventually, of course, the stock exchange, whatever. But that's where whole Wall Street comes from. You know, it is crazy, man, like how they used to do us and we watching this on TV. But you know, they've taken a lot of that away from us too.
Yeah.
The knowledge of what we went through.
Yeah, they trying to take all of it.
All
away
of it,
now.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Definitely Megatron.
That's why I'm stocking up on every book I can find. I'm
Yeah.
buying all of the books
Exactly.
now so that if they, cause shit, they look like they're gonna be successful at doing it if we don't do something.
Since we talking about the suffrage of Jesus and slavery and slaves and stuff, so back then those white people considered themselves Christians. The ones that owned slaves and treated slaves like we've been talking about. How you think they reconcile that the fact that they were Christians and they believed in Jesus, and yet they felt compelled to treat black people like this?
Two things. I'll tell you this, because I said this on a previous podcast we were talking about how they bring the slaves over here and then go to church the next day, if you recall me saying that on a previous podcast. Second thing, this is how they justify it with the 3/5 human theory. They act like we weren't human. So you can treat us like your horse, your cow, or whatever else, right? You buying us and selling us like we that, right? That's how they justify that shit. Now, in their heart and mind, they know better than that bullshit. They can sit here and try to say them was the times, and I brought up on another podcast about these being the times when they say this shit about them was the time. Go back and look at some of the past podcasts, because I brought this up about people using that as an excuse for doing evil shit about, well, them was the times back then. That's some bullshit to sell the shitty things that people did. You ain't gonna sit here and tell me what other animal can talk. When they say Mr. Ed, that's about the only one, and that's fake, right? So what other motherfucking animal can talk, but you think he ain't a human? You got monkeys that kind of behave like humans with their arms and legs and whatever. They ain't said a word yet.
Right.
So what the fuck make you think a nigga ain't human, but he can talk?
Well, and then to piggyback off that, you had, a president who was stressing everybody is on the same level, right? So you can't just turn around and say you ain't shit, and then somebody switch a light switch and say, oh, okay, well, they human too. Okay, so and I want to believe it was some white people back then who was probably like, man, that's just bad on how they treating these people.
Yeah.
So you have to know it was there.
Yeah.
It's just what you choose to do.
Yeah.
Is what happened. You choose the latter. A lot of them just chose, nah, man, keep it going like it's going. Keep beating them, keep raping them. Keep them down.
And have you ever seen a slave movie or a documentary, whatever, the factual documentaries and stuff where white people hid books from horses?
No, you ain't.
Why not?
You'll never see that, because that horse ain't a threat to him.
He can't. They know he can't read, right?
Right.
So they'll lay a book right in front of him. But when the nigga learn how to read, they say it's illegal because he capable of learning how to read.
It's a systematic situation of what
right
somebody
there
said.
Let you know that the shit they talking about, this making you like you the same as an animal, they know better than that shit. They'll have a book by a horse, they don't say, what? Mr. Ed, you over there reading and shit?
Man.
They don't say that shit. Look. But they worried about if a nigga know how to read.
To your point with the animals, with the 3/5 human, what you said. So that came into effect of voting, depending on how many slaves you had that you owned on your property, on your plantation. So you had 20 slaves, versus somebody had 10. That's how they counted the 3/5, and that's what gave you more of the vote shit. And that's looking at us like we got them cattle.
But that's what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, they know better than that shit is what I'm trying to tell you. They try to act like niggas is too stupid to learn things and all this shit, but yet you hide books and getting mad when they have a book. If I know you are not capable of reading, right? I'll put all the books in there, because I know you are not capable of this.
That was a crime.
So why are you worried about a nigga having the book? Because you know better than that shit.
Well, that's why, like Eddie Murphy said, it best one is stand up. Go get you a bush bitch, put a bone in her head, keep a butt naked, keep her in the house.
Damn.
That's the mentality, right? Basically, it's like, hey, because once you put her out there, she getting ready to get all this knowledge. She gonna treat you different. If you want to control her, put her in a room with a bone in her head, keep her butt naked, keep her in the house so she can't do that. Same thing with books.
And see, and in that scenario, at least they half-ass admitting, I know this bitch is capable of learning something.
Exactly.
They trying to lie like they don't know.
Exactly.
And they know what the facts are. They just controlling it with violence. And that's why I keep saying, like I said earlier, when it gets down to it, physical violence is the ruler of all shit. Because if you look at countries when they get into war, right? Whatever country might be wrong or whatever, if they got the better army, they gonna win that battle. So they gonna end up enforcing whatever it is they want to enforce. Because we're not talking about having an intellectual battle or talk or discussion, whatever you want to call it, about whatever the issue is, right? So if you lose that issue, but you want what you want, well, now physical violence. Physical violence gonna win. Because think about this. This is just an example. You ever seen like a nigga like say you see some her couple out, and a nigga come over and try to talk to that man's woman while he's standing right there, right?
Yeah.
And try to talk to that nigga. Now he wrong all day long, right? But if that nigga that's with the girl say something to him, say, man, that's my woman, I'm standing right here, what you doing, or whatever, right? And that nigga say, fuck you, and the fight start. And say the nigga that was talking to the woman win the fight. He ain't right, but he just beat this motherfucker's ass, right? What are we doing here? Winning fights don't make you right.
Right.
But it's gonna make whatever you want to be.
Yeah.
You can do whatever the fuck you want to, right? Now it's gonna be up to that woman in this particular situation. But the same thing is, how I'm gonna fight you over some shit. Now that I'm gonna fight because of the disrespect.
Right.
But minus the disrespect, we having a fight about what we both know is wrong on your part.
Right.
And we having a fight about this shit.
And so the thing about it, the innuendos, this is the thing about what we talking about, how the world already knew what they was doing.
Yeah.
This goes way back into slavery. Somebody came up with a concept.
Well, it go back
to
before
say-
slavery. Why ain't white Jesus in there?
Well, yeah. So let's take it back even then.
Yeah.
When you put the innuendos in, and then you start thinking. So when I look at movies, I look at movies on the logic perspective, right? Let's just say something as simple as the Planet of the Apes. The Planet of the Apes, as simple as that movie is, right? They were like, all mankind was gonna be slaves. And how we keep them like that? You keep them stupid. You keep them in shackles.
Correct.
You keep them to where you controlling the narrative, right? You're not letting these guys do nothing that you think gonna say, well, if they know this, then they gonna do this. Book of Eli, the movie with Denzel.
Yeah.
The whole thing was where the Bible at, because that man knew if he get that Bible and start speaking the words of that Bible. And leave everybody else out of it and let him run it, he's gonna run the world.
Yeah.
And that's the whole concept. It's a logical thing that's been going on since the day of time. Somebody came up with that concept. Unfortunately, the black people got caught up in slavery because they was like, you gotta keep them stupid. And you can run their life the whole time. It's the same way with abuse of women and everything else. You gotta keep them in fear and stupid.
So like when I saw the topic about who suffered more, I did a little research and I saw somebody that broached this question. Like, God allowed Jesus to suffer because God knows Jesus was gonna rise again in 3 days.
Immortal.
Correct.
So why do you think God allowed slavery to happen and last this extended period of time? I mean, is that a question we can even answer?
Well, this is an age-old thing, right?
It's a good thing.
Where
I've seen
a lot of black people come out and say, like, they don't believe in God because of what you just said.
Yeah.
Why would he let these things happen? Why would he let the 6 million Jews thing happen and all these kind of things? And this is my point of view. I think God allows things to happen because he's getting who that true person is. So when somebody like a Hitler kills 6 million people, these white people enslave people, right? he finding out who your ass actually is. And if there's an actual hell, these people have to be in it, because most of those people, especially going back in those days, you didn't have that many atheists back then. These people so-called believed in God, right? So I'm gonna let your actions go through. Same thing with Trump. Same thing with the people that keep supporting it. If you claim you're religious, you better hope there is not a hell.
Oh, well,
Because if there is, your ass is going.
because he reigns on the just as well as the unjust.
Correct.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Correct.
But I'm with Chris. Like, if there's a hell, you better be damn sure.
Yeah.
Cause I know when I was young, I asked my mom one time, like if you go back through a history of time, all these people that died, you know, every time somebody died, you go to the funeral, he's up in heaven.
Uh-huh.
Everybody goes to heaven.
Yeah. Nobody in hell,
and that's what
according to the
I was
eulogy.
like, Mom, how do all these people fit in heaven? And then she said, son, everybody ain't going to heaven.
Yeah.
So a lot of motherfuckers going to hell.
Hell
I wish
yeah.
I could say that. My mom don't cuss y'all.
She should have said motherfuckers though.
Or going to hell.
Because if you going to hell, you're a motherfucker.
Yeah.
Well,
It's a lot of people going to hell.
well,
Yeah,
because the thing about it, if you're gonna be truthful about it, you can't believe in one and not the other.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you believe it's
And
a
in heaven,
heaven,
yeah. You gotta believe
damn
it.
sure better believe it's
Yeah,
a hell. If
'cause
you
it-
don't, I can't even
But
talk.
see-
Because if you ain't getting there, where the fuck you going?
Where you going?
Yeah.
And this is like, I think we had this discussion on another podcast, or maybe it was just in general. Like, Trump, when he holds up the Bible, he say he's a Christian and all this other
That's
stuff.
when the Bible's upside down.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. He can't believe in
He don't believe in
He
God.
can't believe in heaven because at this age, when you know probably your time is up pretty
It's
soon,
real short.
you have to be scared of hell
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
you going to hell. You know what I'm
And-
saying? Like, wouldn't you try to do right
Yeah.
now? Wouldn't you try to
Correct.
be the best
Most
version
people
of
do.
yourself?
Most
right
people
now?
do
He
do
is
that.
not.
'Cause that's when people get
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
When they get time to
He's
go
not.
meet the
When they
maker.
go to jail, all that
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
shit.
yeah.
Yeah.
When they get right.
White folks'
That-
mentality back in the slave days, they would take the Bible. Nat Turner,
And twist it.
And twist it. Like
Yeah.
part of it, it say,
Yeah, they know.
obey
That's
your,
exactly right.
obey, slaves obey your master. And so they look at that as justification.
Correct, because they're going to twist it to be
Twist
what
it
they
or
want it to
whatever.
be.
And so that's why they would have Nat Turner read only certain parts of the Bible till he got smart.
Yeah.
So these motherfuckers, you all know the story about what he did. So that's the white folks' justification of taking pieces of the Bible and turning it to justify what they do.
And I tell you this, it ain't just white folks that twist it, it's everybody that twist
You
it.
sure right.
They'll sit here and
You
look
sure
at
right.
that Bible and say, that man is cheating on his wife, and that's an abomination or whatever. And true enough, that's what it says in the Bible. But it also speaks of gluttony. But the motherfucker at the buffet, though, right?
He eating everything on
right.
You're going back 15
Right,
times.
because
It ain't for that.
because the whole trick
And that's a
is
sin.
exactly.
Yeah.
But the whole trick is my sins because I'm doing these. The ones you doing are the ones that's fucked up.
Yeah.
Not the ones I'm doing.
Right.
Right. That's the whole trick to the shit.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
That's how
But can't you,
motherfuckers operate.
Like just simplify life. Like the Bible is a beautiful book.
Right.
I can't sit here and say I've read the whole thing.
Me either.
I've read portions of the Bible.
Yeah.
Whatever. But if you just want to simplify life, just treat other people.
Correct.
Live righteous.
It's very simple.
Yeah, live righteous.
It's very simple.
Like,
It's very simple.
But
Yeah.
when you start to put what I want out of life versus treating somebody well, if I treat them well, I don't get to have the things that I want.
Right.
So
That's greedy.
exactly.
Exactly.
So fuck you.
Yeah.
I'll just justify it with the Bible what I do that's fucked up.
Exactly.
And go head on through with the shit.
Well,
There you
and
go.
that's one thing, like when you start talking about people that don't believe in God and people that believe in God, and one thing you said, Cliff, about the Bible. Everybody knows how old that book is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you think about back then, somebody putting those words in a book,
Yeah.
is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because you sitting there, you reading this thing, and like I'm a religious person. I ain't no super religious person, but I've read portions of the Bible. You know, when I go to church, I listen to the word or whatever, and I hear things, and it's like, man, this is amazing. Because you just, where did this come from?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't just pull this out your ass, and the average person or man is not getting ready to say some of the things that you hear or read in the Bible.
This is the thing I always wonder, right? So, we in the AD times. So the Bible was started being written even before
Christ,
the AD, right? So you got the BC.
We talking about BC. Yeah.
So you write this shit, and you write it, got Jesus in there, because Jesus only about, 33 years of the Bible? He was 33 when he died or something, I think.
Yeah, something like
right?
that.
So at what point, when they start, because I'm sure at the beginning when they first write the Bible, it was all words, right? Who was the motherfucker that created the image of what Jesus looked like?
Right.
So at this point right here, and what I'm getting to here is, you write the Bible, you see the definition of it, but you draw a picture that's nothing like the definition, right? But I'm saying, like, you had this Bible this whole time, right? And then somebody decide, let's make a picture of Jesus Christ. You make him white with blue eyes.
Yeah.
That's a part of brainwashing, and it goes back to what I said, again, referencing a previous podcast, when you brought up David Banner, and I told you about what David Banner said about maybe we shouldn't accept Christianity as our religion because white people gave it to us. Right? Remember when I said that? So basically what he's saying is a lot to do with that goddamn picture. Because you giving us Christianity, you give us a picture of Jesus Christ as white, because why? You doing slavery saying niggas is dumb, niggas is stupid, and then if you would have showed me a picture of a black Christ, how you gonna say I'm inferior, but you worshiping a black man?
Yeah.
Right.
But
So you got to make him be white.
But what are the descriptions in the Bible?
They show somebody
bronze skin.
It's nothing like
that's the point I'm making.
Yeah.
At the bare minimum, he would be a Middle Eastern person. He either Middle Eastern or black. He's definitely not white from that description, right? Right. But think about it. If you're trying to control a people and you they introduced religion to us during slavery and whatnot, right? Because I'm sure black people in Africa would probably be Muslims more than likely, right?
Actually, one of the oldest Christian churches is in Africa.
But I'm saying more than likely, if you go to Africa, more than likely they're going to be Muslim. Well, in the Muslim religion, they believe that Jesus Christ is a prophet. And not the Son of God, right? But if you say he's the Son of God, this is the highest being, God, right? This is his son. If you paint him to look like what they describe in the Bible and then say, nigga, you inferior to me, but I worship a nigga that look just like you. You can't say that and get away with the shit that you talking about, because it ain't gonna make sense. So I gotta make this picture look like me, so that I look like I'm superior to you.
Goes back to what I said earlier. You tell a lie long enough, people start believing it's the truth.
Correct. Well, and how many black homes you seen with that white Jesus?
Well, they in there.
Correct, because they believe it.
But the thing is, see, the white man is always...
Michael put up the black Jesus.
the white man always...
And look at all the good luck they had while that nigga was on the wall.
They never got out that hole.
Them niggas was living it up.
Never got...
What you mean?
When nigga Jesus was on the wall, he was living it up.
Tax refund.
That's what he was doing. Nigga, shit, I'm finna get me a nigga Jesus to put in my wall.
Hey, I'm a guy that dates.
But see, that's the point that, like, the white man have changed the whole way people think about stuff. That's why you get people with all these other religions who don't praise Jesus.
Right.
They praise other people because of that shit that people are trying to do. They like, man, ain't no way.
Because they have Jesus in the Muslim religion, they have Jesus on the same platform as Muhammad.
Yeah.
Because they
But that's a man.
They think they all prophets. And I've been taught that Jesus is the Son of God. So in turn, because I was taught that, that's what I believe.
Right.
But think about this. Right now, you got a daughter, right? You got a daughter too, right?
Yeah.
I don't have one.
You ain't got shit. I ain't got shit either.
He got a dog.
I do too.
He got two
Yeah. Well, I
got a few daughters.
I have 5. I got a husky that don't live here though. But this the thing. With that being said, and I'm saying this in favor of the Muslim beliefs, even though I believe in what I was taught, right? If your daughter or your daughter came home and after a few months you saw her stomach getting big, and then she say, I swear to God, Daddy, I ain't had sex with nobody. You're gonna say, bitch, you lying like a motherfucker, right? But because of what they read in the Bible, we believe what Mary said.
Yeah.
Right?
You was starting
Ain't a nigga in this world gonna believe that shit right now if your daughter come home and say she ain't fucked nobody but she pregnant.
Yeah.
Ain't a nigga in this world.
That's gotta be a hard take.
Correct.
To believe that.
Correct.
To this day,
Correct.
It ain't nothing my daughter can tell me.
Correct.
She say, Daddy, I'm still a virgin.
Yes, but I'm pregnant.
Let me ask y'all a
That's
question
because-
on the Bible part.
Yeah, go.
It wasn't written by God. We understand that.
I've said that in the past.
It was written by man. And so do we
I think
all
I've said the same thing you're about to
believe that
say.
everything in there was by
Correct.
man? It was
Well,
I've said that a
just
million
said, like,
times.
how over the life of the Bible,
Yeah.
through translation,
Exactly.
things didn't get
Yeah.
changed or whatever.
Yeah.
just like
But this is like the Bible is a roadmap to life.
Yeah.
there you go.
It's something to live by.
It's something to
What we
live by.
live by, right?
Yeah.
Right.
You have to have that.
It's the
Yeah.
basis of the
So-
Constitution and everything else.
And so
Right.
just think
Yeah.
about, like, especially during slavery time, when they were going when they were going through what they were going through, like they needed something to
Yeah.
hold on to, a hope. So they had to believe in that.
But the thing is, it was introduced to them by the motherfuckers that was impressing them.
Yeah. But just like today, like when I talk to people or listen to people that are atheists, and they talk about people that believe in God and Jesus Christ, and they ridicule them and there ain't no man in the sky and looking
Yeah.
over everybody. And I'm like, why does that bother you? Like if you want to believe, if a person wants to believe in that, how does that hurt you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
all the shit we have to go through throughout life, getting laid off, people dying,
Yeah.
people getting sick, all the shit.
Yeah.
People need something.
You
to
need
hold
something to have
on
faith
to
in,
get
yeah.
you through this thing
To have
called
faith
life.
in, yeah.
Yeah. So why penalize people for believing in that? Like,
Yeah.
And I'll go you one better on that, Cliff, because this is the shit that I've always thought about. These same atheists that say the shit that you're talking about, their theory is evolution. Their theory is two rocks coming together and all this shit to form Earth and all this kind of shit. Your theory don't make any more sense than what that you claiming that don't make sense.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
You want us to say, well, yeah, that makes a lot. How the fuck you know two rocks came together?
Right.
How do you know that
Yeah,
shit?
yeah, yeah.
And then they laugh at the motherfuckers that say like it, because they say evolution is like from an ape form
Right.
to human, right?
Right.
And then they'll laugh at the motherfuckers that say, well, why are there still apes? Because if they asking the question and I'm asking the question, I don't know the answer. But what I'm saying is
They didn't make it.
it makes sense that why didn't they evolve too?
They didn't make it to the
But also,
humanity.
But why
They
they
were
didn't?
bad apes.
Why they didn't evolve too?
Exactly.
Yeah, why, that don't
bad
make
apes.
sense.
Like what
Yeah.
happened?
right.
And somebody gonna look at this podcast and say, "Oh, he is just stupid." I'm not stupid.
No.
I'm asking the question. I'm asking. Yes.
Why do evolution stop here?
Right.
Why don't we continue to evolve
But
into something
that
greater than
greater
that?
than this,
And
yeah.
I'm just asking a question. If you believe in evolution, who says it stops here?
Exactly.
Yes. But if you evolve from ape, it ought to not be no more ape.
Right,
Why
right.
the fuck is it still apes then?
G just said
They
it.
didn't make the cut.
I guess a lot of them
A
motherfuckers
lot
did.
of them did.
A matter of fact, I'm gonna go to the zoo and laugh at that. You fucked up.
You said something a few minutes ago,
'cause I'm
primary conversation me and my dad
Cause you
had.
said something that make you
And you said, why does it bother
Upper
you?
rumble the low.
Oh, it's because you're not ape no more.
Yeah.
You said,
He is still ape. He just wearing a warm up.
you said you asked the question, you didn't answer, but you said, why does it bother you? It reminded me about, not you, but bother them.
Oh, atheist?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It reminded me of a conversation I had with my father. So my father made a statement to me. We was having a conversation. He was like, if you don't confess to Christ as your Lord and Savior, blah, 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 then anybody who don't do that, they go into hell. I said, well, hold on. I say, yeah, me and you were raised like that to follow Jesus Christ and all that. Because he was going on the Muslims.
I've said this same thing.
I say, so,
I had this conversation with my wife's mother.
and I said, so all these other people who follow all these religions, they not go to heaven? Hell. I say, well, Dad, I said, let's look at it like this here. It's 1,000 religions plus in the world.
Yeah.
I say, let me do you something. I'm gonna go get me a gun and put it on this table. I'm gonna get me 10 cups. And you go in the other room. And I'm gonna put a ball under one of these cups and I'm gonna tell you, you better pick the right cup. Put
Yeah.
that ball in it. If you don't, I'm gonna blow your brains out.
This is exactly the conversation I said.
I say, no, you don't, we don't know who right.
Yeah,
We calling who we know.
Because what it comes down to
Exactly.
on that scenario, and I had this conversation with my mother-in-law, but she is from that generation where you so religious that
Right.
you can't sway from the exact thing you were taught. You
Exactly.
can't think outside of this box, right? So, and this is what I told her. Basically, if that's true, the majority of the world is going to hell because whatever religion happens to be right,
Right.
the rest of you motherfuckers are doomed.
Y'all
Exactly.
follow
You know,
pretend.
Right.
But you know what? Like, and people, like we sitting here asking questions. Why? Why God do this? Why is this like that? I don't think anything's wrong with that.
No.
Right? Because when you
You're
get
just
right
being
down to
human.
it, none of us fucking know.
No.
Exactly.
Nobody
We
knows.
don't
Nobody
fucking
know.
That's what faith is.
Yeah.
So if I want to believe in Christian values, but this person want to believe in Muslim values, I
what
don't
Tiger
begrudge
Woods
this,
is.
man.
Correct.
Whatever you want to believe
Yeah.
in, that's you. Because none of us fucking know
Exactly.
what happens when we
Nobody
die.
knows. No. Unless you've
Buddhism
been
or
dead
whatever,
before.
Unless you've been dead.
And I don't know no niggas that's done that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But see, the beauty of it is that's why you got a black race, you got a white race, you got Chinese, you got Indians, you got all these different races who live differently. You can't say, oh, your way is wrong, my way is right.
Well, that's what they do.
That's what
though.
they do,
I
though.
understand,
people do.
but
That's
you
what they
can't-
do.
You can't go, if you go by that, then like you said, somebody out of that group
Yeah.
doomed.
Dude.
Yeah.
You've been living wrong
Yeah.
all your life.
I think this the next question. On this same subject, people that's looking at this and they see what we talking about. How many of them you think gonna be scared to admit that slaves suffered more than Jesus
Majority of the
Christ?
people.